I'm here for you. I'm ready for your conversation.
Hey, Jordan. No.
Hi. The Coke.
Okay, so I've been thinking for Jordan, it's tough for me to get you to watch something.
Yeah.
Specifically television.
It is
I don't
tough
think you
for
have.
you to do
I don't
that.
think you have too much of an issue with movies,
Yeah, that's
but you do have a lot of. I almost want to say trust issues when it comes to TV because
fair. Okay.
you can't. I can't get you to watch anything that I want you to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start this episode with a question. So I can try to gauge you and try to learn you so I
Okay.
can recommend to you something I want you to watch and maybe you'll watch it.
Okay.
So first question in this segment that doesn't have a name is what immerses you?
What immerses
Because
me?
yes, and you think on that while I kind of explain the concept here.
Yep.
So I have no problem, zero issue getting immersed when I'm watching a television show or a movie. I can sit there and watch it on my phone. I have my noise canceling headphones. I turn all the lights off. I zero in and I am there. It is reality what I'm watching, right? I watched all of Game of Thrones on my phone.
Insanity.
Just like right here. Like, yes.
Can't
you know?
even imagine.
And so it's I feel as if I have a natural gift for just immersing myself in whatever I'm watching, for better or for worse, you know. Willow comes to mind.
Yeah.
So immersion is basically if you're watching a TV show or a movie or playing a video game or reading a book, the immersion is the feeling you have like if someone knocks on your door, you're like, gah! It like snaps you back to reality. Your immersion is that feeling of you believing the world you're being entertained by.
Yeah.
So I want to gauge you. What gets you immersed? What makes you feel as if you are really there watching what you're seeing, reading what you're seeing, reading.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think of things that I love, like my favorite movies, favorite TV shows. Well, the thing with, entertainment is escapism, right? So, a lot of it is that where it's consuming entertainment to escape from reality, and sometimes
So Avatar,
That's it. for example. Like I didn't feel that that immersion with, like we've talked about with the first Avatar. I didn't see till like a year or two ago, and I was like, this is fine, I guess. I'm not that into this or whatever. And then I saw the first Avatar in theaters, and I was like, well, okay, this is a lot better. But I saw the second Avatar, The Way of Water, of course, and was completely immersed in the world and whatever. And it was that feeling you're describing of like, you're in this world and all of a sudden you have to walk outside to the AMC where there's trash on the floor and, you know, people
you're like,
surrounded by people who are high and all of that sort of thing. It's like, whatever. This is great. I'm going to go pay $15 for popcorn. That's super fun. Why can't I just live in Pandora?
reality kicks in. There you go. Yeah. Post-Avatar depression syndrome.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think.
Can you narrow it down? Let's zero in on Avatar then.
Sure.
What pulled you in? Is it the music? Is it the CGI? Is it the little lights that glow when you touch them? Or the leaves that glow?
Yes, those. I think in the case of Avatar, it's probably more how it's, since part of the narrative is literally a human literally immersing himself into a new civilization. The narrative is kind of built around that concept, where you're an avatar. It's structured like a video game, basically, where you in the movie you're a human and you take control of this avatar body and you're kind of control it like a video game.
Right.
Not exactly, but like similar. So I think just the way that world is constructed and how consistent it is, you are able to kind of, and you're learning things from the perspective of a human who's in this new body. And so things are being explained to you and you're kind of all along for the journey. And somehow Jim Cameron, man, Jimmy's got a plan, as I don't know if you watched that Cosmonaut live stream.
Yeah, I did.
Jimmy's got a plan. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm trying to think of other, like,
I can give you another example.
yeah, give me another
for
example.
me, and this is very counterintuitive. Something that maybe this doesn't make any sense. I'm just gonna say it anyway. I'm listening to Sonata in Darkness, which is a song I'm sure you know. It's from The Batman. It's like 10 minutes long. It's just piano, Michael Giacchino hitting the keys. Yep. Maybe not
Fantastic.
Michael Giacchino. I don't know. He wrote it at the very least. Yep. So a part of it, you can kind of hear the player on the keys, like especially at the higher notes of a piano. Sometimes you can hear the keys being struck.
Sure.
Just as loud as the piano being played. Or you're listening to jazz music and you hear the keys of the saxophone being pressed during the solo, right? Or you're watching Les Miserables and Anne Hathaway steps in front of the camera and the shadow goes in front of her face. And these sort of things make me remember that it is art being created by people in the moment.
Yeah.
And that should break my immersion because it's reminding me of reality in the middle of something that's supposed to be otherworldly, in the sense of the word. But for whatever reason, when I feel that, it's like, oh yes, this is an art piece, and I'm like zoned in. I'm here, present for this moment. So that's something I really like. Furthermore, just a quick little tangent here.
A little tangent.
I may be wrong about Wakanda Forever being the best film score of last year.
You might be.
Sonata in Darkness.
You might be wrong.
Can't Fight City Halloween. Pretty
the Batman,
good.
Catwoman. All of those songs.
Pretty good.
It's all pretty good. Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong about that. But let's get back to you. Do you have anything else you can add?
I don't know, man. I think I'm trying to think about other things that I am immersed in, but I think it depends on your suspension of disbelief also. Because you can be, I know people who don't enjoy watching TV or movies because they they can't let their minds just be okay with what they're watching, like in Star Wars or something, where it's like, that would never happen. So why am I watching it? It's like, yeah, I know it wouldn't happen, but maybe it would in a different galaxy far, far away, you know?
There you go.
That's the whole thing. So I think my suspension of disbelief is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think that helps and is a factor with, like, a movie I'll talk about later. You have to suspend your disbelief with some things.
Much.
Yeah. So where is this going now? Where do we go now?
Now that I have my ideas for you in the future, we can go there. Yeah. And I think every time it's my intro, I'm going to kind of gauge your interest and we'll see what I can get you to watch or not.
Interesting. I don't like sports movies. I don't like I don't super like war movies. So
Brutal.
there you
War
go.
movies are pretty good. That's kind of a new niche for me.
Yeah, I know. I can't really get into them. I don't want to be immersed in a world where that exists.
Well, I would say most movies are anti-war, but that's definitely not true. Your like favorite movie last year is a war movie. What do you wait?
No,
What?
it's not a war movie. Somebody else said that it's a war movie.
Top
It's
Gun
not
Maverick is like the most pro-military.
It's pro-military.
War.
It's not a war movie though.
Okay. Okay.
It is good. Though. I was explaining my love for Top Gun Maverick to somebody, and I was like reckoning with the fact that I'm so extremely susceptible to movies that are marketed to dads, because that movie and Ford v Ferrari are like two of my favorite movies of the past few years, and those are such dad movies. Like they're movies about dads being good dads, and they're movies that are marketed on planes and cars and things.
Yep.
And
maybe you should get into James Bond.
I love James Bond. I mean, Daniel Craig. I haven't seen a single other James Bond movie, but the Daniel Craig ones. No Time to Die is my favorite movie of 2021, and that's a fact.
Wow, there you go. Boom.
But yeah, I'm just really, those things get me. Those dad movies.
Yeah. Okay. Noted. All right.
Sometimes,
we'll look into
not all the
time.
times.
Okay. And welcome everybody to Quarter Twins Weekly Review. See,
Welcome.
That's what I was kind of going for.
I see.
Is like it kind of just, the conversation kind of meets an end.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, oh hey, didn't see you there.
Oh wow.
We were just two guys naturally talking about super interesting topics.
Yeah, because that's what we do is we naturally
Yes.
talk about.
Quarter Twins
Super
Weekly
interesting
Review.
things.
The show with only one question. Watch anything good lately?
Nice.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. First try.
Yes.
I'm Jordan, by the way, if you don't know.
This is Jordan. I'm Joshua.
That's right.
We are the Quarter Twins. Follow us on Twitter at 25 ECT 100 ECT. It's impossible.
Yeah.
We'll see if I
It's
can change
impossible
it.
to remember.
It makes sense if you already know.
Yeah.
But like it's too hard to Google. So but Quarter Twins was taken, so I couldn't just use that.
How was it
So
taken?
we'll look into it.
Who has
I don't know. Somebody else is a Quarter Twin. I don't know. There are more than us.
the heck? I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, I know a thing about Jordan, and that thing about Jordan is that he moved recently.
I did move recently.
Very recently.
Yeah.
And so he's in a new space, and it's painted, and he's moved, and it's complete? Question mark. The move is final.
Yeah,
more or less.
We're all in here.
Wow.
Everything is in the house.
Cats included.
Cats included. They're happy and healthy. So
Wow.
much happier now.
So great. That's
I got
awesome. They have space to roam.
I got some fresh ink.
Oh,
See that?
what the?
My first
Okay.
tattoo, guys. You seeing this?
Wow. Out of the blue.
Yeah, I got this during the Chiefs game. Literally across the street, our neighbors, Justin and Sam. It's really confusing. We're Jordan and Sam, and our neighbors are Justin and Sam.
Okay.
And
That is
Sam
confusing.
over there has a tattoo gun, and she's practicing on her friends. And it was halftime, and we were like, "You want to tattoo me right now?" So I got a little tattoo.
All right. What is it?
It's just a little leafy guy.
For the audio listeners.
For the audio listeners,
What
it's
and
a
where?
leafy guy. On my arm, on my
Right on.
butt. No. This is reminding me that
I got a Nard dog on my butt.
I have to tell my parents before Mom listens to this episode because I haven't
Yes.
told her yet.
What great news.
Yeah, she's gonna
She
be
awaits.
thrilled. But yeah, that's cool. We're in the new house,
awesome.
doing new things, so
That's
super
great.
fun. So yeah,
So,
and because of all that, I have not really watched anything except for one thing last night with Sam. So, but Joshua, he has lots of stuff on here. Good,
I have
good Lord.
plenty of things that I've seen. Some of this is backed up because I didn't get to talk about anime last week.
Right.
And I did also cut some things from this list because I watched several movies. So I can just do a rapid fire and then get to the stuff I'm more important about.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my parents, shout out my parents.
Shout out.
We watched 2 movies a couple days ago that were very similar. Shotgun Wedding, a movie that came out very late last year or very early this year, starring Jennifer Lopez and Josh Duhamel.
Yeah.
And then we watched Lost City, which came out last year.
Yeah.
With Channing Tatum and
Sandra Bullock in the
yes,
Blind
Sandra Bullock.
Side. Yeah.
Yes, I get that. Okay.
That's a reference, you know.
So those 2 movies are very similar because they are romantic comedies that take place in a jungle.
Oh.
And there is also explosions and murder and strife.
That sounds fun.
So, I would say that these movies are bad.
Oh.
Critically.
Critically.
But I enjoyed both of them. Now that, as a esteemed film critique,
yes.
I cannot say that these movies are good. The script is terrible. The shot composition is terrible. The lighting is boring.
Shot composition.
It's all there. Yes. I saw that tweet about the Spider-Man shot that you retweeted. That was hilarious.
I personally, I don't think I would compose a shot like this.
Yeah.
Just
like,
personally.
Oh,
yeah.
Super funny though. That was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, critically, all around the movies are terrible. But it's a rom-com. They don't have to be good.
I heard it was fun. Yeah.
And so, whatever. You just enjoy the movie anyway. So like, what is art if it's not to be enjoyed, right? So.
Yep.
Sure. Inisherin. Okay.
Did you watch that?
No, I didn't. Of course not.
Oh, okay.
That's a sad, boring film. I don't watch
guess.
sad, boring films.
You don't watch sad, boring films, this guy.
I'm not. I can't watch the Oscar bait films. It's just not for me.
Not for you, man.
Although I do want to watch Tar. That looks good.
Does look good.
Okay. Quick Joshua's Anime Corner.
Anime Corner.
I'm watching like 5 shows right now, weekly, like 1 episode a week.
Okay.
It's hard to keep up. They all air on like Saturday. And so it's just like, boom, 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 boom. Here's a bunch of new episodes. I'm like, oh, God, I can't keep up. And then my work week comes.
The Last of Us on Sunday.
Yeah, I get The Last of Us on Sundays. Actually, though, for me, The Last of Us is on Mondays because I work when it airs.
Yeah.
So I can't. I'm going to miss the Super Bowl, too. Bummer, I guess.
Oh, no.
Big Chiefs fan over here, you know me.
Yeah, bleeding red over here, this guy.
Red Kingdom. So, anyway, as far as anime goes, we're watching Vinland Saga, which is a story about Vikings. Very good. Would recommend to Jordan. He won't watch it.
I like
Blue
that.
Lock.
I like that you've settled into the just the reality that I'm never going to watch any of these things.
It's the reality. This is what can I do?
Even how much I would like to, I cannot foresee myself watching many of
exactly.
these things.
Yeah. It's so interesting to me because you want to and then you don't.
I do.
So I'm watching Blue Lock, which is a soccer anime where a bunch of soccer strikers, I should say, high school strikers, are put into a giant compound and have to play better than everyone else or they get eliminated and can never play professional soccer again. So they're in this battle royale to the death of their dreams.
Oh.
And it's very interesting. And I like it a lot because I like soccer.
That sounds cool.
You won't watch it. It's fine.
Maybe I will.
You know what? If I bait you into watching one of these out of spite, I don't care. If that happens, it works out for me. And we're watching Bungo Stray Dogs, which I can't even begin to describe what that the name means to anybody.
Bungo Stray Dogs.
Bungo Stray Dogs.
Bungo Stray Dogs. Okay.
Yes. It's a show where people have really, really confusing and interesting powers. Like I cut a hole in the side of my throat and stick a seed inside, and then a tree grows out of me, and I can control the tree with my mind.
Whoa.
You know? Or
That sounds
when
wild.
I spend money, I gain physical strength.
Oh,
Stuff
yeah.
like that. Kind
I
of
can get
like
behind that.
confusing, like weird, interesting powers.
I would
And
love
the
that.
story is about a detective agency that solves crimes in this world with people with superpowers. Or like, I'm a little 10-year-old girl, and when I call someone on this phone and say their name, then a ghost assassin kills them. You know? Kind of just
Cool.
like whatever they're feeling for the superpowers. No explanation whatsoever as for the rules. So that's fun. So that's kind of anime. We're all over the place in there. So that's fun. What else is going on? Oh yes, I started reading Star Wars High Republic. I'm 5-6 issues in, and we've kind of finished the initial story. We've set up the plot at this point.
Okay.
And I think now it's going to start to get good because it had a lot of things to set up. You know, we got the Starlight Beacon and the Master and the Apprentice relationship, and who's the villain and what are we doing? Are there Sith? What's the dark side? You know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff, which is, you know, we're in High Republic, so like, I don't know, maybe 100 years before Skywalker Saga or something, maybe a little bit more. Back when like there were, you know, the Sith that existed there were two wherever they were, and they weren't really doing anything during this time period. They were building power, right? So there's just a bajillion Jedi, slowly becoming complacent and arrogant fools, as they would be.
Yeah.
Yes. So
those guys.
we're
Silly.
setting up the arc, and I think it'll start to get good.
Nice.
In other news, and now I can kind of slow down. We got to the good stuff. I have three real things to talk about.
3 real things.
And you jump in with your thing at any point.
Okay.
I've literally been talking the entire time.
It's fine.
So, I started watching Hawkeye finally,
Hawkeye?
as I promised to watch, like I don't know, episode 3 maybe.
Episode 3, yeah.
I said that I would start watching it, and then I said, "Oh, I'll wait till Christmas time since it's a Christmas show." And then I watched Game of Thrones instead. So here I am now. I've watched 3 episodes.
Okay.
I am halfway through the show.
Halfway through the show
already. Yep. And let me just say,
it's
been a while. It's been a while since I watched a 6-episode show.
Mm-hmm.
And by golly, we aren't halfway done with this story yet.
No.
We have just finished setting it up.
Yep.
And now let's go to the end now.
Yep.
I forgot how terrible 6 episodes is.
It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea.
And
especially when you get to the last episode, which I won't spoil too much.
Right.
But it happens and then it's over. You're like, I could go for 6 more episodes of this thing that's happening, but it's just over. So,
and I'm really
that.
not a fan of my Hawkeye show being about a different character.
Yeah.
I don't hate Kate Bishop or Haley Steinfeld. She's fine in this performance, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't care. You know, the
It
show
would be
isn't
nice to have a Hawkeye show about Hawkeye, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Because everything that's happening to him is very interesting, right?
Yeah,
He's got
for
the hearing aid and the deaf villain. So there's like a dichotomy going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got his children and he's dealing with the repercussions of being a superhero. And his kids are like old enough to, they still think it's cool that he saves the world,
Yeah.
but they also want him around, you know, and they can express that feeling more than they were when they were children.
Right.
Like little kids. Now
Sure,
they're
sure,
like,
sure.
teenagers.
Teenagers.
Yeah. So they can be,
What happened in episode 3? Remind me.
So
that show?
we kind of get the backstory of the villain, and Ronan killed her dad, and she wants to kill Ronan, and Ronan is very bad, and Ronan is also Hawkeye, but no one knows that that's the reality. And it sounds like Kate Bishop knows, but she didn't really say it outright. She just said that Ronan was someone close to you, wasn't it? So whatever she's alluding to. It's just, and then right at the end of the episode, Jack, I don't remember. I think Jack,
something.
The guy who killed his uncle with the Ronin sword.
Yeah.
He was standing behind the wall and put the sword up to Hawkeye's neck. So now we have the confrontation of our hero and our villain right at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to halfway through, and our villain and our hero have finally met.
Yes.
And then we're just going to speed run the ending.
I'm thrilled. I'm so excited to see what you think of the rest.
Somehow Yelena and Kingpin are going to show up and have enough time to be in the show. And we'll just see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
What's her name? Susan Silverman or something like that. She's going to show up.
Susan Silverman.
I don't think so.
I
That's
have no
accurate.
idea who that is.
The Thunderbirds recruiter person.
I have no. Oh, it's what's her name? It's like
I don't know her name.
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, I believe is her name.
Yeah. Okay.
What did you say?
Susan Silverman. I'm thinking of the actor.
Susan
the
Silverman.
Name. I don't know her name.
I don't know if that's even closer, but Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yes.
Who's Susan Silverman, I wonder?
Silverman is a rabbi. My bad. Okay.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is her actress name.
Yes. My mom
Susan
thinks
Silverman.
she's a bad actress.
What?
I remember her saying that.
What?
She's like, I don't like her.
I have no opinion on Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Okay. I have no opinion on Susan Silverman. So,
yeah.
I apologize.
Susan Silverman. Shout out. Rabbi Susan Silverman.
Rabbi Silverman, my bad. Okay. Let's go to you.
Okay.
My throat hurts.
Yeah. You've been talking for a while. We've hit almost 30 minutes here, so.
I tried to speed run.
Let's get I wanted to talk to you about this DC stuff that happened this week.
Oh yeah.
I've talked in the past about how James Gunn is now in charge of DC Studios, and he is rebooting essentially the entire DC cinematic universe.
Beautiful.
And he was like, I'm gonna announce the next phase of DC movies sometime in January, and then it became increasingly more clear that he was gonna wait until the very last day of January to do so, and he did. So he got on there and he announced all these movies. So what's happening over here in DC, guys? Just want to break this down for you so you know what's going on. We had the DCEU for a long time, which was your Man of Steel connected universe, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, all of that. And then you had
Aquaman.
like randos like Shazam and random like Joker and random the Batman that's not connected. And it was all just James Gunn was like, previously this was all kind of a mess. And we were like, yeah, you're right. So what he's doing over here is he is creating the DCU, which is basically the same. It sounds the same. But he's creating the DCU, which is going to be a series of connected movies, and then he's going to keep, which my favorite announcement of the day was just confirming the Batman 2 is happening. The Batman Part 2 is what it's titled, coming out in 2025. Which a lot of people were like, 2025? And I was like, yeah, I understand, but at the same time,
Better
Just
than
let him cook,
ever.
as they say.
Oh, well, let him cook.
Let him cook. So there's going to be the DCU connected cinematic universe, and then there's going to be DC Elseworlds, which is going to be your The Batmans and your Joker Folie à Deux, the second Joker movie that's apparently a musical with Lady Gaga or whatever.
All right.
Which sounds fine. But he announced a bunch of movies, so here we go, guys. Here we go. These are the movies and TV shows that are happening. Apparently, there's this thing called Creature Commandos. That's going to be an HBO Max series. It looks like the Suicide Squad, so I think that's probably what we're looking at here.
Okay.
It's going to be animated HBO Max series. There's going to be a Amanda Waller series on HBO Max, which I couldn't care less about. But here, the big guns coming up here. The launch of the DCU is going to be Superman Legacy. Okay?
All right.
So we're getting a new
Henry
Superman.
Cavill?
Henry Cavill is out. He's out.
Right. He's
they're
doing
getting,
40K.
Yeah, he's doing that. He is doing the Superman movie. It's going to be a young Superman story, not an origin story. He wants to stress it's not an origin story. It's just a young Superman. That's going to be July 2025. There's going to be a Green Lantern HBO Max series with two
Ryan
Green
Reynolds
Lanterns.
stars.
Yeah, that'd be fun. The two Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, are basically cops, space cops, and they're going to have a little series on HBO Max. A movie called The Authority. Apparently, The Authority is a group of superheroes from Wildstorm Comics that was bought by DC recently. So that's cool, I guess. There's going to be a Wonder Woman series called Paradise Lost on HBO Max. It is this is a Game of Thrones type story about Themyscira, the home of the Amazons and the birthplace of Wonder Woman. This involves all of the darkness, drama, and political intrigue behind the Society of Only Women. How did it come to be? So there you go.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm also, this might be the most excited I am for the DCU. It's called The Brave and the Bold, and it's going to be a separate Batman. So we're going to get a new Batman story with, so this is going to be the introduction of the DCU's Batman, not Ben Affleck. It's not Robert Pattinson. It's not Ben Affleck. He literally says right here. So there you go.
Christian Bale comes back.
This is going to be a story of Damian Wayne, who's Batman's actual son that he didn't know existed for the first 8 to 10 years of his life. He was raised as a little murderer and assassin. So this is Damian Wayne, the Robin, the youngest Robin boy, which we haven't really seen in live action film ever, except in the George Clooney one.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped about that. I think that's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, what's up with that? Robin never shows up.
I think they're scared of.
He was in Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He was in Jordan Joseph-Levitt.
I mean, he was in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, for sure.
Played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
You should use your real name, Robin. Not bad. Robin's name isn't Robin. His name is Dick. Okay?
Okay.
You should use your real name, Dick. I love that name. It's such a beautiful name. There's going to be another HBO Max series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold looks like apparently it's a guy who is pretending to be a superhero. I think of it basically the story of a superhero's imposter syndrome. How do you deal with that? It's about how he tries to use this future technology to be loved by the people of today and what it is really at the base of that. So he's just trying to get attention or something. There's going to be a Supergirl movie called Woman of Tomorrow. That sounds good, I guess.
Okay.
And finally, live action movie called Swamp Thing. So that's cool. Swamp Thing is whatever. So that's really exciting, I think. I'm excited for a lot of that. They still got Shazam! Fury of the Gods is coming out here in a few months.
Black Adam.
Black Adam came out. They're doing the Flash. He did say that the Flash movie is going to be what kind of resets everything, um, time travel and that sort of thing. So that's
Okay.
going to be happening. I'm pumped about it. But what I did bring to the table today of something that I watched, I rewatched with Sam last night. Everything, Everywhere, all at once, guys.
Best picture.
So yeah, I want to start watching all of the Best Picture nominees every year. So I'm gonna have to go through a lot of sad, boring movies like Banshees of Inisherin.
Yes.
But I wanted to rewatch Everything Everywhere because I hadn't seen it since it came out.
Right.
And I know you saw it recently and you loved it. You gave it a 10 out of 10.
It was perfect.
I gave it an 8 out of 10. I actually liked it less this time. Just wanted to talk to you about why you love it so much. Because I like it a lot. I think it's really impressive, and I'm so glad that it got made, and I'm so glad that it's getting recognized as such a good movie. I really love all of the performances. Obviously the editing and all of there's some visual effects, but it's really a lot of the editing that kind of gives it its flair or whatever. Very creative. The screenplay and everything is really good. I think what I don't like about it is, I was trying to wrap my head around it. I'm not super. So it feels like it's ending like 5 different times. And I feel like the pacing was, especially the second time, was really off. Because it kind of, like the first time I watched it, you're kind of just like, all of the stuff is being thrown at you and you're like, whoa, crazy stuff happening. But I felt like Evelyn kind of keeps having a climactic character arc, like several different times. Like she kind of comes to a realization, then comes to the same realization again. And it feels like it's wrapping up, but it keeps going and going and going. That was my experience this time. But I do, I like just everything about the story and between Evelyn and Joy and Evelyn and Waymond. It's all Waymond. Really, really good character stuff.
Alpha Waymond?
Alpha Waymond? It's a very funny movie. What was because we never really talked about it that much. What did you like about it?
I think, as far as the pacing goes, I'm not gonna just like debunk your issues with the film.
You're wrong.
But for me, the pacing, I think I really enjoyed the like fake out ending with the credits and everything.
Yeah,
like it like breaks your immersion and then pulls you back in, and you're like, oh, it's not over. I think you hit the nail on the head with the creativity and the performances and the editing and all that stuff. It's very true, right? The Daniels are amazing directors. They pulled the best out of everybody on the crew. I think they did a very, very good job. And they wrote the film, right? So that's, they do a very good job together. I think they're really, really fantastic.
Fantastic.
Rian Johnson still deserves Best Director for Glass Onion, though.
Ooh, there you go.
I don't think he's nominated, but
no.
He got screenplay, so he can get that at least.
He should.
He got it for Knives Out, so he should get it for Glass Onion. I guess that's not a prerequisite, but you know what I mean. It's a good movie.
Yeah. It's really good.
I think the whole nihilism versus optimism debate is like what really resonated, I guess, with me.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm like, oh, I'm just in the entire world, like screw this. But it definitely, like, last year was not, well, it was 2021.
Yeah.
That just wasn't a great year for my brain.
Sure.
And so I felt the feelings they were evoking.
Yeah.
Very strongly. So it felt good to see it be validated in a way.
Yeah, because you don't really see that in film a lot. It's kind of because they kind of embrace it's a critique of nihilism, but it's also kind of embracing
Like
what that conclusion, like if nothing matters, then what you choose to do with your life is is what matters the most, and you can make that as beautiful as you want if you treat it as this my life is going to end, so this is only around for a certain amount of time, so it can be, I need to make this something, you know?
Yeah. It's like you only live once, kind of a
Right.
all the way to the other extreme, where like you live everywhere all at once, all the time, everything, and
Yes.
so there's all these different versions of you, and none of them matter. So why do you matter? But it's not about what matters. It's about what you think matters, what you care about.
Yeah.
Right. And so she kind of comes to that conclusion several times, but she needs that revelation for her daughter.
Yeah.
Right. Who is like all the way at the other end. Absolutely nothing matters. Why should I care about anything?
Yeah.
And so I just think that is a beautiful, well-told story.
Yeah.
And the romance subplot with Waymond, and like figuring out their relationship, again, is also really beautiful. I've never been served divorce papers, so I can't speak to the feelings that they feel in that time. But I mean, I can't relate, but I'm sure it's beautiful and well told. So
yeah, like I really like how the kind of emotional climax of the story is Waymond just like, guys, can we just be kind to each other? Like, let's stop fighting and just be kind. And you get this montage of just you get the like people start being kind to each other, and Evelyn helps that chef get Rakakuni back and all of that stuff, and that impacts the overall multiverse in a positive way. Like just the simple act of being kind to somebody or giving somebody a hug they that beautiful imagery of like Evelyn hugging Joy, and it like has this montage of like as they're hugging, like planets are colliding and like all of these things are happening simultaneously. And it's just like, something as simple as just like a genuine hug is as powerful as like two celestial bodies, planets colliding
right.
in the multiverse. Really beautiful stuff, guys.
It's awesome.
I think just what holds me back from like giving it a perfect score is like, I think it, like, am I going to go back to it super often? I don't really know. It is like, it's a little off the rails for me personally. It's just it's a little far across the line of just over the top silliness at times, that I'm not gonna
hot dog finger stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that. Which is like it's funny, but I'm like, I'm not gonna.
Is that why I'm here?
That's not why I'm here. I'm not a. Well, I think we've talked about it. I'm not. I don't need comedy in my movies very often, so that's not what immerses me. There you go. Comedy in film is not what immerses me. So there you
comedy
go.
in TV is your top 10.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
beautiful.
Overall, great film. I'm gonna watch all of the Best Picture noms. I've only seen 3 of them, so I got some, and there's 10 for some reason.
Yeah, I thought there were supposed to be like 5 noms for everything.
Yeah, they gotta add some more spots to fit in, like Avatar and Top Gun Maverick and those movies.
The ones that aren't gonna win.
That won't win.
The general public are like, these are actually good movies. We all like them.
Yeah, they can't just
the Academy is like
Tar, Triangle of Sadness, women talking. Everybody's just like, what?
No. No one saw these movies.
Yeah.
Who cares about these movies?
Although,
I mean,
Banshees of Inisherin is in like every category, which is shocking to me because I started it and I was like, this is kind of nice, but I never finished it, so I got to finish it and see what
Did
the
you
whole
watch it with
deal is about.
subtitles? I've heard you need subtitles.
You do. And even with the subtitles, you're like, I don't know what that sentence means. Because the way they speak is not English. So there you go.
Oh, it is.
I mean, I suppose
They're
it
just
is.
Irish.
Irish English.
Very Irish.
Okay,
hype,
finish out
okay.
your things.
Yes, so last week, I was halfway through House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
This week, I finished House of the
finished.
Dragon. So I wanted to briefly talk about that since it's not a secret.
Please do. It's
anymore.
not a secret anymore.
So House of the Dragon, you watched the first episode.
Yeah, I saw the
um,
first
so we
2 or
should-
3.
Oh, okay. So the first half of the show is like, gosh, I already forgot their names. The Targaryens
Yeah.
and the Hightowers are friends, and the hand, the Hand of the King is working for Viserys, and Millicent, is kind of getting close with the king, having some nightly talks, kind of doing
Yeah.
her thing,
Kinda
being
gross.
there for this grieving old man, being manipulated by her father to manipulate the king
Mhm.
to become the queen. Maybe, potentially, right?
Potentially.
That's the plan.
That's the idea.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the show, we get a time skip, and Matt Smith is living in Essos, which is the East country,
Mhm.
as opposed to Westeros,
Ah.
which is the West country.
There you go.
Apparently, there's a lot more to the world, and the planet is called Planetos.
No way.
super, super creative.
Lanatos.
So maybe there's like Northos and Southos
Yeah.
or something,
Southiest.
Sosos. Who knows?
Northwestos.
But yeah, so there's it's more Game of Thrones than Game of Thrones ever was, I feel like.
What?
It's like Game of Thrones is about family and the individual families vying for happiness.
Like the Fast and the
like-
Furious movies.
and-
They're all about
Yeah,
family.
it's all about family. And not dying.
Yeah.
Whereas Game of Thrones is like most of the characters are alive for most of the show, and not a lot of important people die as much as in Game of Thrones. But it is more of the political drama, kind of like who's in power at the right time in the right place where they can use the momentum they have to seize the throne, right?
Yeah.
It's all actually about who sits on the Iron Throne versus Game of Thrones, where like I just want this character to not die. Like everything
Stay
is about
alive.
this. Yeah, seriously. And there's a greater plot happening, but I can't talk about it here because Jordan hasn't watched the show, and he never will.
Will he?
because
No.
He hates good TV, apparently.
I don't hate good TV. It's also the time commitment is like, because I'm not gonna sit down and watch 8 seasons of a show in a couple weeks like you did. I can't.
Judgment.
I cannot.
Well, then take a few more weeks and watch it slower.
I guess. Do you watch multiple episodes at a time when you did that?
I
mean, not at
it would
a time,
be
but
like
one after the other.
it would be like it's the end of my work week. It's 6 a.m. I'm gonna stay up today and watch a couple episodes, or like I'd watch an episode before I go to bed,
Yeah.
right? And so it didn't take too long. Or
Interesting.
I had altitude sickness and couldn't get out of bed. I'm gonna
Right.
watch a season today. You know,
Sure.
pretty much. So I had multiple instances of long amounts of free time where I could, and I don't have a wife or a job with random on and off days
Yes.
or like any other commitments. So I have more free time
sure.
to
Yes.
spend an entire hour doing one thing. or multiple hours doing one thing. So it's easier for me.
It's rough for me.
to.
Also, I get unmotivated. My motivation is not there. Although the thing is, like, I'll rewatch I'll rewatch this 3 seasons of Daredevil anytime, anywhere. I'll watch them. I'll watch multiple episodes in a day and get through them really fast. But starting a new thing is hard for me.
It befuddles me a little.
I know.
Because
strange man.
You'll watch hours and hours and hours of Daredevil, but you're
but
like,
I've
don't have time to watch.
Twice. Yeah.
I don't have time for All Mankind.
Yeah, I don't.
I ran out of my free
subscription. Yeah.
Took me more than a month to watch 10 episodes.
Yeah. I like the first season. I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final thing, and then we can talk about Last of Us if you watched the episode, I guess.
I did.
Okay.
I gave it a 10 out of 10.
I watched Dune last night.
You did?
Yes. So, for those who know, or don't, I've been reading the book very slowly because, for some reason, it is the long TV show for me.
Yeah.
This book. And it's a lot of setup and world building, which should be perfect for me because I love that stuff. But when it doesn't feel like a plot is also happening. Yeah. I need something to be happening for the world building to matter, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm reading the book. I'm about a quarter of the way through, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Halfway through the movie, as I found.
Okay.
So right before all of the interesting, climactic, super awesome stuff happened in the movie, that's about where I stopped reading.
Okay.
So I was like, I opened the book last night, and I'm halfway through a chapter, which if you ever stop halfway through a chapter, don't ever pick up the book again. You're not going to read it.
You're not going to finish that.
Yeah. So I opened it and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm halfway through a chapter. And I put it down and then I watched the movie. I was like, I can't do this.
No way, dude.
Very disappointing myself because when I watched the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, look at all this cool stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
After what I read.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back and read and then hopefully I'll finish the book before the movie comes out and I can be like excited for the movie.
Did you like the movie, Joshua?
I loved the movie. I gave it a 9.5.
Yeah.
I only didn't give it a 10 because there's only 1 10 each year that I'll grant myself.
Oh my goodness.
1 10 a year.
Interesting.
So I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what I didn't perfectly love.
Yeah. The thing about it for me is like I've tried to rewatch it and I never make it all the way through. And I think it's because it feels like it is a part 1 to more movies.
Yeah.
And it feels very anticlimactic to me now that I've seen it once, like watching it again. Because they build, I don't know, I don't know. It's hard to rewatch for some reason. Like it builds to things that never really happen and they're going to happen in the sequel, but it's like I didn't feel like there is a character arc with Atreides, Paul. He has a character arc a little bit. But there's not much in
That's
way
also
of
interesting cuz like
whatever.
I read the book, well, at least the first half where they set everything up. And there's like entire scenes missing or changed completely. The guy who was the traitor is not the traitor in the books.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. He may also be a traitor that they just reveal later, I guess. But,
sure.
Also, a bunch of characters died that I liked, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, so there's a scene in the movie. Paul sits down for this meeting, and they go through one line item, and then they leave to go see this sand crawler in the sand. This scene does not happen in the books. The sandworm scene with the giant
Sure.
harvester does not occur in the books. Instead, it's like a 30-page chapter of this entire meeting that they sit through, every line item, and they go through the whole list and have all these reports. It's the most boring garbage you've ever read, and I didn't really enjoy it. One of my favorite chapters.
There you go.
So when I saw the meeting, and I was like, oh yeah,
Here
here
we
we
go.
go. They're just gonna sit and talk for 30 minutes. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's go check out this harvester, and had this dumb action scene instead. And I was like, Also, Zendaya is a dream girl.
Yeah.
And
She's
then
not
right at
even
the very
really
end,
in the movie. Yeah.
yeah, right at the very end, she shows up. She and the dreams, not in the book.
Interesting. I trust
Just
Denis
didn't.
Villeneuve, but
This didn't happen.
I like it a lot. I just
I mean, don't
it's
get
a
me
little
wrong.
bit baffling to me.
It was. I thought it was really.
I wish you
really
could have
good.
seen it in the theater, man. I mean, that was
Also, the aesthetic,
experience. The
all- every-
aesthetic.
the lighting, the shot composition,
Huh?
all of it just felt very like real to
yes.
me. Like the way it all felt like this is cool sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
And it still feels realistic. It was like Blade Runner if it wasn't raining.
Yeah. I remember feeling so depressed when they left. What's the planet that they start on?
Caladan?
Caladan. Like Caladan
Yes.
is this beautiful, lush green
gorgeous.
planet, gorgeous. And then they go to a desert planet, and I'm like, don't go to
No.
Tatooine, man. No. I mean, I knew it was gonna happen, but I was just like, I'm so tired of freaking
Yeah, the
desert
book-
planets.
It's called
And
Dune.
I know it's the point of the movie is to be on a desert planet,
Yeah.
and I knew that was gonna happen. It's just so depressing. I don't like desert planets. Good movie though.
Just played out.
9.5.
I thought it was really, really good.
What did you think of that Last of Us episode though, guys?
Peak
Controversial.
television.
Peak television
Only controversial for homophobes.
for people who
I
are
would
dumb.
say.
Yeah.
I do want to briefly talk about the game version
Sure.
of the story.
Please
because
enlighten me because I know nothing.
Bill, the character in the game, is young and alive. Spoilers for this part of the game and this episode of The Last of Us if you're not caught up on either.
Mhm, mhm.
Bill and Frank are a couple, and they are gay for each other.
They
Great.
are. Yes.
In the video game, we meet Bill as Ellie meets Bill. We know nothing about his backstory. All we know is that he doesn't really like Joel,
Okay.
and they have a relationship, a business relationship.
Mhm.
And so they help each other find a car battery at a school. It's action-packed. It's great. And we get tidbits and moments, when there aren't zombies running around. This is kind of how they do the whole story of Last of Us in the
Mhm.
game, is like there are moments when there aren't zombies and they just talk the whole time about the backstory and like before 4 times.
Ugh.
And so we learn about Frank, and he talks about his life with Frank, and they have this gated community similar to the show.
Mhm.
But Frank is dead, and Bill did not die with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the episode of the show, it's just like an hour of Bill and Frank being happy
Mm-hmm.
and then dying at the end.
Yeah.
Tragic, very sad. Not at all what happens in the game, but it is what, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
What
more
happened?
backstory.
Yeah, just more backstory to add to the story in the world, which I think is very good.
Yeah.
Because the game is just Ellie and Joel.
Yeah.
And like brief cameos of these other characters show up throughout the story. They help them along their way, kind of a deal.
Sure.
So I like breaking up the story, adding characters, diversifying your portfolio is good.
I think
Very, very good.
it's especially It's especially good because the guy, as far as I understand it, the man who wrote the game is writing the show.
It's Neil Druckmann.
So this is obviously a story that you obviously wouldn't put an hour of just living a life with Bill and Frank in your video game, in your zombie video game. But this is obviously a story that, like, a backstory that he wanted to tell, and like, I don't think there's any room for criticism of like, well, you're adding things to this game that don't belong to be there. Like, this guy had this. It's not like he made this up, like, just for fun. Like, he had this backstory in his head about it, and it's really beautiful. So, I love the idea of just watching different perspectives of, you know, what people are doing during this apocalyptic time. And this guy who is played by Nick Offerman, everybody, from Parks and Rec.
Yes, shut up.
Which has avoided the being taken to the quarantine zones and or being murdered in a ditch. And he's just like, he's a prepper, and he's taken over this town is abandoned, so he's just turned it into a fortress for himself. And this guy, Frank, comes along, and at first, like, I didn't know the backstory, so or that I didn't know anything about these characters. So at first, Sam and I were like, we don't trust this guy. What's he gonna do? He's gonna try to kill Bill or something, or take over his whatever. But then they're just two chill gay dudes who just fall in love and live a life together in peace. I mean, some raiders come and Bill gets shot a couple times, or maybe once.
Yeah,
just once. But yeah, it's just I just love the idea that they would just make an hour-long episode where the main characters aren't really in it, and it's about these other two guys. Just really good stuff.
Yeah,
backstory. Because then Ellie and Joel show up after we see their entire life, and the impact of Joel reading this letter that Bill left for him is very impactful. Because you've seen this whole thing, whereas if they just showed up and there was a letter, you'd be like, oh, cool, bye. So
yeah,
that's television, guys. That's
very well done.
Cinema. That's story.
Cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beauty.
It was super well done, and I like it a lot.
Also, Ellie just like finds a infected in a basement and just plays with it for a minute. It's just like, I'm gonna stab you in the face.
Yeah, she did that.
We were like, why are you... It was one of those horror movie moments where you're just like, why are you walking towards it? Why are you walking towards it?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But it didn't amount to anything.
No.
And she found a gun at the end of the episode.
That's true.
She found Frank's gun hidden in the drawer.
What is she going to do with it? Who knows?
Gonna kill Joel. No. Also, Last of Us got renewed for a second season.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because the second game is way more controversial than the first, and way more gay than the first.
I've had to avoid spoilers so diligently.
Please do.
They're all over Twitter. Let me tell you.
Yeah, the second game is, I think, like not as airtight of a story as the first, but it is a very good story about something. I'm not even gonna.
Don't
say
even
it.
tell me, because I want to be surprised.
Because it's super good, and I really hope they get the casting right. That's what I will say.
There you go.
Because there are 3 characters in the second game that do not appear at all in the first game.
Okay.
That I want well casted, because their story is very good. I want it to be good.
That would be nice if it were good.
Yes. Because people hate them. And I don't. So I want them to be good for the people.
There you go.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, there you go, guys.
Boom. We did it.
That's been Quarter Twins Weekly Review, the weekly review of all the stuff Joshua watched.
All the stuff I watched.
Less of what I watched. I'll watch something this week. I'm going to try to watch at least 2 more Oscar movies that I'll talk about.
Watch a little bit Game of Thrones.
Maybe I'll watch a little bit of Game of Thrones.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll watch a little Blue Lock or Vinland Saga.
Yeah, hit him up.
Yeah.
I can give you the password,
Okay, cool.
but not my Netflix password.
No, you can't do that anymore. Netflix is literally gonna die because of what they're doing. They're so stupid.
Good luck making.
So stupid.
Or I mean, they're canceling everything too. They're
They
saving
fired
all their money.
their entire animation department, and now they're just making animation with AI, which is great. Great idea, Netflix. They're just like
Super great.
They're doing great stuff. Finish Stranger Things, and then you can go away forever.
Yeah.
So
So
anyway,
that's fun.
Yeah.
Take us out of here.
Thanks everybody for listening, watching, and liking, and commenting, and subscribing, and tweeting, and
All of the Twitter.
commenting again. Follow our Twitter.
We're on
I
the
guess.
Twitter every time we watch a movie. We give it a rating out of 10.
No
and
context.
No context. Please, but then you comment. You're like,
The Last Jedi sucks.
and then we will comment
The Last
back
Jedi
and be like,
sucks.
"You're wrong, you idiot."
You're
And we can have discourse, and then it'll go viral, and we can be cool.
It will go viral.
It will.
Help us go viral, everybody.
Help us go viral, guys. I want to be famous.
You want to be
If-
famous.
If this was both of our actual jobs, I bet Jordan would watch Game of Thrones. So if you want Jordan to spend all of his work time watching movies and TV, hit that subscribe
Hit
button.
that subscribe.
Hit the share button.
Yeah.
Get on Twitter. Hit us up. We're there.
Let us know what you want us to watch and talk about, because we
Yeah, there you
need
go.
suggestions.
Jordan needs suggestions.
I guess.
He won't
yeah.
take mine. Heyo.
I've tried. Okay, I tried. I need to give For All Mankind another chance, but it's just it might be a lost
but then you're gonna
cause.
have to. You say that, but then you're gonna have to start at the beginning again.
Yeah. Well, I
And
didn't
that's-
even finish episode 1 of season 2, so there you go.
Yeah.
It won't be that hard.
There you go. Exactly. So,
It just lost me, man. It lost me. It didn't. It wasn't the best episode of TV I've ever seen. So
season 2 start in space on the hotel.
it starts in space, and there's a solar flare, and everybody's looking at the
Oh,
sun,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
all run, and then they go back to Earth, and it's boring. And
That's
I'm
right.
like,
Yeah.
It lost me immediately after that. So anyway,
The radiation stuff was dope, though.
yeah, I need to give it another shot. That's what I'm saying. And you should too, viewers at
Moonbase.
home.
Yeah. Wow.
Dude,
You haven't even gotten to the good Russia stuff,
yeah,
dude.
I guess.
There's so much. Guns in space? Come on.
I know. I should
How
watch
do bullets work?
I should
You
watch
shoot
it.
the bullet. You shoot the bullet around the moon. Does it come back and hit you in the back of the head?
Oh,
If you miss,
I guess, because that would work with gravity, right? Slingshot effect. Come back next week, okay? Bye.
Bye.
I hated that. Edit that out.
Stay
Get rid of
in.
No.
Yeah.